This is Buying Miami, Life, Love, and Real Estate, and I am your host, JoAnne Jones. I'm a second-generation Miamian, and I am obsessed with real estate, and also living your best life here in the best city, Miami. Okay, we're back for another episode of Buying Miami, Life, Love, and Real Estate, and today I have Javier Gonzalez, and you're like, why? Why is Javier important and why is he on the show? Well, he is on the show because he has been he's been with me like since the beginning. Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I've been in the game for like a long time, but since I started like putting this whole thing together. So Javier was a client of mine, and we did a rental for him, and he lived there for how long? 2 years?
3 years.
3 years.
I'll make 3 years at the end of September.
Wow. Okay. So then. And he came from Maria, right?
Yes,
yeah.
She referred me.
Yeah, Maria referred. Okay, so then Maria was another renter. So Javier, such a cool guy, loved working with him.
Thank you.
We got him in his rental. And then in the meantime, I wrote the book, Buying Miami. And, you know, I just put stuff out, and it doesn't, like, occur to me that people actually, like, read it or pick up. I just think that people delete my emails, like, because I delete so many people's emails all the time. So I just figure, you know, I don't know. It's enough for me to put stuff out and then to think that people actually, like, read it, you know?
I consumed it religiously.
Who knew? So then, so Javier reached out to me, and he's like, hey, I read your book. And I'm like, really? And he's like, yeah. And he goes, and I want to buy a house. And I'm like, really? He was like, yeah. So we closed on your place like
a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah. So I wanted to have you on the show because you have just gone through the whole cycle of what people experience. If they pick up this book, most of the time it's because they want to understand about buying a property. And you are like the perfect case study because you were a renter. And you were, you know, there was times that we were talking, you're like, oh, I'm waiting for the market, I'm waiting for this, I'm waiting for that. Dude, you weren't waiting for, I got to keep it PG, but you know there was a curse word about to come out of there. But you let's just say it's not about the market. The market is always, and I think that's something that you kind of realize, that it's more about what's going on in your life that makes sense for you to make a move and to make a purchase or to sell. So I wanted to have you on because I wanted to talk to you and for our readers. So, I mean, I spent a lot of time kind of having professionals in the real estate industry talking about real estate stuff, but you are an example of our listeners and of my readers, and so I wanted to really dig in and talk to you and get your perspective of everything and the process that you've gone through. So let's start at the beginning. Tell me the story about how you were renting, and then what made you decide to buy in this market at this time, and what are some of the fears and you know things in your head that you had to kind of overcome or get past, and then how did Buying Miami help you through that? And just, you know, tell us your story.
Yeah, so I mean, it's been wild. I mean, like you said, like I literally just closed, literally,
because you know we're literally from Miami. Yeah.
And I mean, I closed July 5th, so it hasn't even been a month. So it's still like, I'm still in the shock. Like, I can't believe, like, we actually did it. Like, I'm a homeowner. Yes! Which I literally again, never thought that was going to be possible. I was like, I'm going to have to rent my whole life because that's just the way it is. And especially with, like, how the market is and, like, you know, interest rates and prices going up post-pandemic and all that. Those are, like, some of the fears that kept me, like, oh, it's just never going to happen. And I kind of just, like, sat down and accepted that. But, so like you said, like I've been renting since I moved out of my mom's house. I don't know, let's say like 10 years. And I've just been renting and like, you know, kind of throwing my money out and like wasting it because, you know, you never get that back ever. You're not investing that. You're never going to see it. Like, okay, you lived, but you don't have anything to show for it.
Right.
So because of the pandemic and like, you know, Miami especially, like the market here, this city has seen like a boom of like people coming in from New York, California, and like our local economy has just gone crazy. Like the renting prices are just out of control.
Right.
And then last year, my landlord wanted to increase my rent like $1,000 a month.
Which was almost double, or
Yeah,
it was like it was like a 75% increase.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. And it was super last minute. Just kind of wanted to do that. And there's absolutely nothing about my current apartment. It's great. I've enjoyed it. But there was nothing that would have increased its value by $1,000 in a matter of weeks. And I mean, I was able to negotiate it down and all that stuff, but it was super unpleasant. And that kind of just like last year, around September, I guess, it like put me in the mindset. I was like, this is never happening to me again.
No.
Like this vulnerability that like you're at your landlord or the market's like whim is never gonna happen. And that's kind of when I like my mindset changed. I was like, next year I'm buying.
We started talking.
Yeah, like I'm buying and I'm gonna get ready.
The time the book came out, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And so like you sent me a copy of your book. You dedicated. It was super cute.
Oh yeah, I sent it to you in the mail, right?
Yeah.
I remember that.
I got through Amazon. And so then like I just started preparing myself, you know, getting my credit ready. My credit's always been good, but you know, just like, you know, cleaning up anything, saving more money, like putting more money into my savings account, just so I could have more of like that down payment and all that stuff, and just completely changing my mindset from like, oh my God, I'm just gonna be stuck in this, to like, this has to happen and we'll figure it out. And then we did. But yeah, like it was just like a mindset shift that I was not going to be in that position again.
No.
And now, like, you know, I know what my monthly payments are going to be. Like, it's mine. No one's going to just be like changing things up on me or like increasing it because of, I don't know, a bunch of New Yorkers came in or anything like that.
Right.
And it like kind of pushed me, and, you know, we made it happen.
We did. So what were some of, I think also with you in particular, there was just the fear of the unknown. And I know for me, when I have to do something and I don't know how to do it, and I want to get from point A to point B, but I don't understand what happened to my thing. I don't understand how to do it. Then that kind of that makes me paralyzed. Now, since I'm almost like, I feel like an old lady, I'm not, but let's just say that I have wisdom, okay? I am seasoned like a fine wine, and I have wisdom. And wisdom has allowed me to like notice like, oh, JoAnne, you're doing that thing again where you get paralyzed and you don't move forward because you don't know how to do it, and you know, you need to push through it. So I think that was happening for you as well, but Absolutely. I think that's why the book kind of worked, like the timing was perfect, because you're like, okay, let me dig into this. And how did you, what are some of the things that you read in the book that made you like educate you or more comfortable? What are some things that you learned that kind of started to make you more comfortable with the process of buying?
Yeah, so this, like, when my friends hear this, they're gonna like be like, yeah, 100%, 1,000. I get really bad decision paralysis. Like, I get easily overwhelmed. Like, I'll drown in a glass of water. Especially like when it's something like that you don't know and like you don't feel comfortable. It's just like I get stuck, and then I don't want to do anything. Right. So like having you and the book and stuff, and like like you mentioned already, I was kind of waiting for like the right moment. Okay, I want X amount of money in my savings account. I want prices to be here. I want interest rates to be here. That's not going to happen. Like, the planets are not going to align. Like, it's going to be whenever it has to happen in your life. Like, everyone's an individual. For me, it was that I have to rent now. I have to buy now because I'm not going to keep renting. And then that's what it was. Like, it wasn't that, oh my God, these prices are amazing, or that the rates are this, or that this, my dream house appeared on the market and like it was, you know, $100,000.
It wasn't market conditions. It was life conditions.
At all. It wasn't. Like, your life kind of tells you when you're going to do it, like when you have to do it or whatever. And then you have to kind of just work with the cards that you get. Right. So whatever the market conditions are, you work with them and then you make it happen.
Exactly.
So the book did teach me that too. It's like, no, it's never going to be a perfect situation, and like you're just going to know that like, oh my God, like all the factors came together. It'd be great, and I'm sure maybe it's happened, but realistically, it's your life that's going to dictate it, and then you just kind of have to work with how the market's going or whatever other external factors are going. So yeah, the book was like instrumental in pushing me to that, and you too.
Oh, well, thank you. I think also it's like we have to focus on things that we do have control over and not wait for things that we don't have control over to fall into line. In this case, it's the market. So with the book, and you realizing like, wow, I got to change my mindset. Because I think a lot of people that have decision paralysis, or like they want to buy but they don't, they're kind of hiding behind this fallacy. Like they're thinking, oh, I'm going to wait till the stars align and the creek rises and the market is perfect, and then I'm going to jump in. And it's never going to be that way. You're going to be another 5 years,
to be safe,
and the market's going to go up higher, and this is going to change and that. So what you could do is educate yourself on the process, which is why I wrote this book, because I spent a lot of time sharing information and explaining to people the process. But it's so much that I wanted to just put it in a book, and then now the book is turned into this podcast. So, so tell me, what are some things that you kind of learned in the book, or that gave you more, that gave you the comfort to move forward? So
I can't stress enough how important it is to have a good team.
Yeah.
So I didn't know how many people were involved. Like when I first started, excuse me, I thought it was going to be, okay, me, realtor, and like whoever's selling. No. And it's important like to have a good team. Like you have your mortgage broker, you have your legal team, your like whoever's doing your title. Just so many people are involved, and like it touches like so many hands, and like each one of them is as important as the next. And it's kind of like when you're running a race and you pass the baton, each person on your team is going to guide you towards the next step.
Yeah.
And it's so important to have like people who are like patient and like will work with you and like kind of teach you along the way, because like for people like me that get kind of scared of the unknown, they like guide you and they teach you, and then you feel more comfortable, you know what's going on. They like walk you through the process and they guide you so that you're not kind of like, wait, what's going on? What's happening with my money? Where are we in the process? Why am I in the dark? No. So I learned like how many people are involved in it. It takes a lot of people, and like I can't stress enough how important it is to have a really good team.
I think you used everyone in my crew. I think you used Allison, right, for the inspection. She's been on the show. You used Rudy for the mortgage. She's been on the show. You used Jody for the closing, and her crew were there for you. And you'll notice that like, as we go through the process, there's sometimes where you're talking, like while we're looking and putting in the offer, you're talking to me every day. And then there gets to a point where you're really not talking to me as much. Now you're talking to your mortgage broker, like every day, all day. And in your case, you shopped your mortgage around, which was something that I encouraged you to do. And then you got to the point where it's like, okay, then it's your mortgage broker and the closing team, because they're getting all the money.
Right.
And so like, we passed the baton, and then at the end, it's like, finally, we're waiting to close, and that was an interesting day, that it took all day to close. But what would you say to people like you? Like if, you've just been through the whole process. So what are some of, what was something that like really shocked you, or that you didn't see coming? Like, how they say you don't know what you don't know. So after going through the whole process and reading the book and walking through it with me, what are some of the things that you're like, wow, I didn't know that? Besides like all the people that are involved, what are some other things that you were?
So I had like a huge moment, because like, and you had to check my brakes on this, because like I love to get into the fantasy, and like, I was like looking on like the Zillow app and the Compass app and all this, and just looking at listings, and like I would like a property, like I thought with my inexperienced self, like, oh, this is amazing, this is my dream home, I can't wait to live here. And you're like, don't get like too obsessed. Don't see yourself in the first home, because it's probably not going to be the one you're going to end up in. And that was so true. Like I don't even know how many months we spent like looking, and I was just like kind of casually browsing and sending him stuff, and it's like, oh, actually, like, there's a $2,000 a month assessment on this, so like, oh, ew, no. Or like, oh, this building's about to fall apart. No, it's just like, so, and even then, when we finally toured a bunch of places, like actually saw them in person, I think we put in 3 offers, and like I had them ranked like 1, 2, and 3.
Right.
And then I was just like so hard-headed, like set on my number 1 choice, which like in hindsight was not a good choice. Like my lease was gonna end, and like there was still someone in that unit, so I couldn't even live there. The tiles were like all over the place. I would have had to completely redo the floors. It was just like not cute. Yeah. But I was like, I want that one, and it was like set. So we put in the 3 offers, and then the one only one of them accepted, and I was like, oh, but you know what? Like now that I'm like clear-headed and not like, I want that one, like being like, I don't know, like spoiled or something, like a brat. It's just like, oh my God, I'm so glad that I ended up with that one. It's literally the best one out of the 3.
It is.
So it's just like, don't become obsessed. Don't fall in love with like the first thing you see, because one, it's probably not the best option, and two, you're probably realistically not going to end up in it anyways. So like, you know, breathe a little.
Yeah. No, and I remember that one that you liked the best. That guy was such a dick.
Yes, you said.
Oh my God! Remember, he was such like an unpleasant person to deal with, and I'm like, oh my God! I hope we don't end up. I mean, I would have gone with whichever one, wherever the ball laid. I would have gone with that one, but I'm like, I'm gonna have to really use my skills to make this a more pleasant. I gotta crack this guy.
Yeah, I would have ended up spending more money for probably less.
Yeah,
like,
for less. Yeah.
For what? Just because I was like being capricious.
Yeah. Good word. And also, I think it's being malleable in where you're going to end up and kind of being open to understanding that you're going to end up usually like exactly where you're supposed to be. And you have to kind of, that's where the practical application of faith. I mean, you don't necessarily have to be a super religious person. I'm not very religious, but I do have a relationship with spirit and you know, my intuition, and you have to kind of understand that you're going to end up, you know, where you're supposed to be, and it's not always, you know, the one that you think it's going to be, but you got to see like, where is it aligning and it's flowing and it's easy.
It's a very trust the process type of thing.
Trust the process. And if you don't trust the process, it could be very difficult for you.
You could probably end up hugely disappointed. Like, this is not something that you like do lightly. It's like probably like the biggest, well, it is for me, the biggest purchase that I've ever made.
It is.
Biggest investment, all that stuff, and it's not something you want to have regrets on.
No.
And I could like absolutely say that I probably would have had regrets had I ended up somewhere else.
Right.
Whereas I currently do not with the one that I ended up with.
You got a beautiful apartment. He's in Edgewater and he has a great view.
Amazing.
I love your view.
Thank you.
And it's a perfect apartment, and it's renovated enough to live in it, but it's something that you could also put your own, you know.
Yeah, like my personal touches.
Yeah, your own personal touches, i.e. going to the paint store.
Yeah.
I'm right behind you. I have to paint my bedroom too. So then I would say then it seems like the book, and then have you heard the podcast too? I think. You listened to the podcast. Yes, and now you're on it. Imagine. Well, I think
full circle.
Yeah, I love to talk to professionals, but I love to talk to people like you who have been through the process, because I think that you speak to the audience, you know, from being one of the people that have been in the audience on the sidelines for so long. So it's really been a very pleasurable for me to work with you and have you read the book. It also saves me a lot of time because I don't have to explain as much to you.
Right.
And you kind of like you're already kind of familiar. You've seen the glossary in the back of the book. You kind of understand the lingo.
The I know a guy section.
Yeah,
Best part, like that one's bookmarked.
The I got a guy section.
I got a guy, yeah.
Yeah, I have a referral section in the book that like gives you referrals for different, you know, people and things. Why? Who have you used? Anyone? Well,
everyone. And then everyone, like you also have like even stuff for after I purchased. So like you mentioned like the housekeeper and contractors for like any like little building things that I want to do and stuff. Like so there's like I don't know like 30 people on that.
Yeah.
So it's not just like okay like you know realtor, attorney, all these things. Like it's very comprehensive and it goes way past purchase.
Right.
So it's a super like good resource.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you're using it. And then what do you think, because there's so many people, it seems, out there that are like, they try to do this on their own, you know, like they don't use an agent. And maybe they've had bad experiences with agents and they don't trust them, which is, I mean, listen, I mean, there's good agents and there's bad agents. But what would you say to those people, or do you have friends that are like, I'm just going to find a place on my own, you know, or how do you feel about that? And it didn't cost you anything to use me either. No. So it's kind of like, I don't understand when people don't use an agent.
I honestly could not think of a reason why you would not use a realtor. Like, I don't think it's an optional thing for me. I mean, even my situation was difficult and it was a challenge for us. And that's like definitely not something I would have been able to navigate. Like, for example, I don't know if I'm allowed to disclose like numbers or anything. I wanted to go into a building with like 5% down. So it's not like.
And she just laughed and laughed and laughed. Yeah.
And it's not something that like, I mean, I have no experience. I'm not familiar with every single building in South Florida. And like, I don't know, let's say like 95% of them do not have like, you know, the resources, or they're not ready for like to be able to do that. They're like demanding like 20, 25%.
Yeah.
So even for that situation, like I, as someone who's not, maybe if I had my own realtor license, I've been doing it myself, sure, you could do it on your own, you're a realtor. But you're still using one. Might be a conflict of interest. But for me, who I don't know, like, we had our work set up for us, and you were able to use your network and your experience, along with, like, Rudy's, the mortgage brokers, to find me, like, the building that met literally all the, like, check boxes.
Yeah.
And I was able to go in with, you know, like, my 5% down. Like, we did it.
Yeah,
it was difficult, but...
I got to tell you, you are the only 5% down mortgage that I've done in a building. And it's only because I kind of, you know, I know which buildings will allow 5% and which don't. But a lot of the ones that allow 5% are not in the area that people want to be in. We just happen to, you know, find what it's just the perfect area. And your neighborhood is just
And I don't
amazing.
think I would have been able to. I know that I wouldn't have been able to do that myself, because what would I know? Like, you know, I wanted in a certain area. I wanted a certain, like, level of, you know, living in the building. Amenities. Thank you.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't want to end up in, you know, like a building that's falling apart. Okay, yeah, they accept 5%, but then, you know, my roof caves in next week.
Yeah, no. Well, they won't accept 5% if your roof is caving in. It has to meet certain criteria. It has to be a good, solid building with good, solid financials and a well-run association for it to qualify. Most buildings don't qualify for 5% because they don't hit the check marks.
Right,
that will
and there's a lot of them.
There's a lot
of check marks. So it kind of has to be like the perfect conditions in order to do that. And, like, you know, like, I don't think someone with less experience would be able to just be able to find that, or someone who's, like, not serious, because, like, I mean, there are a lot of realtors in Miami, but there's not a lot of good real estate professionals. Like, I don't know.
Right.
So yeah, using a realtor and a good realtor is, like, mandatory to me. It's not gonna work unless you have someone that's, like, guiding you and, like, you know their stuff. Like, you have, like, a huge network in Miami. Like, you've been around here a while, and, like, you know, like, the areas, you know, the buildings, you know, the people. So, like, you can't put a price tag on that. And I mean,
oh no, I remember walking into some places and let's get the fuck out of here.
Yeah,
we're not,
you did say that in one of the units. Like, even you were just like,
you're not gonna.
This is a piece of shit.
Like, we're not.
Can I say that?
Well, you know, I mean, this is a rated R podcast, but we can't screen ourselves. But yeah, I mean, there's. I guess with me, you also get, like, I'm pretty honest.
You get the realness, yes.
With things like this is not gonna work. This is not gonna work. For you.
Which is also really good because like, you go in and, like, you're, like, all glossy eyed. Oh my God, it's my first purchase. It was for me, and, like, you think, yay, like, oh, stars and unicorns and rainbows. Like, no, it's not. Like, this place is falling apart, and, like, you have a different set of eyes than I do. Like, you know what to look for. You know, like, the red flags. You like that. You know, I would see 4 walls and they look fine. No, like, this and this and this. And, like, you get all of that, like, benefit with a realtor that you would not get going by yourself, or, like, going with, like, a friend, your mom, your grandma, whatever, to look at it.
Yeah, I look at things like, I mean, I look at real estate for a living, so automatically I look, like, is it popcorn ceiling? Because that's a $4,000, you know, that'll cost $4,000 to remove. And is there a light fixture in the bathroom? And is there a dishwasher? And is there a washer and dryer? Is there a half bathroom? Are the bathrooms connected? Like, I look at things that, you know, come from being a seasoned agent that looks at property. And would I want to live there myself?
Right.
You know? So, yeah, going with a seasoned agent that can look at property with you and point things out to you. Like, hey, did you notice that there's no light fixture in the bedroom? So you're going to have to, you know, illuminate your bedroom with lamps. That's something that you may not realize. Or, oh, did you notice that there's no light in the closet? So you're going to have to put lighting in your closet. Like, that's going to be an expense.
And honesty, too. Because, like, I can say, like, for example, like, you, like, I've always, like, liked you so much as a realtor because you're very honest. You could tell, like, I'm very big on vibes, and you know how I shopped around with, like, the mortgage brokers and stuff?
Yeah.
I went off of vibes. You could tell who's, like, just trying to, like, scam you or make a sale, and, like, who's actually, like, you know what, let's look at something else, like, let's take a little longer, but we're not going to that piece of crap.
No.
And, like, you get that 100% because, like, you would literally come in and just be like, let's get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, you're not, Javier, you're not going to live here.
No,
this
at
is
all.
not, and I'm going to tell you why, and you'll be like, okay, yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah, no,
but
you're
it's
right.
true.
You see it.
It's true. You know, I'm going to see things that you're not going to see. You are, you know, it's exciting. It's an exciting thing. And I love looking at real estate. I mean, I love to, okay, we got 4 places, and we're going to here, and here's your water, and let's go, and you know, it's fun. It's fun. That's the funnest part, is looking at real estate. And then when I see something that lights me up, that I'm like, oh, wait a second. This okay, we're gonna have to do something with that closet, but that's doable. There's no popcorn ceiling here. This tile is livable. We could live with the tile.
Facts.
We can paint that. This is okay. Okay. All right, and I think that's how we ended up on that one, because we saw like 20 units in that building.
Yeah, we did.
We saw everything.
We were thorough. We were thorough. We saw everything. And that's that we got shut out like a few places that were like, no tours or whatever. Like, someone's in it. So it's like, okay, whatever. But yeah, we were thorough. We saw a lot, and like not all of them were up to standards. And then like that one, you were just kind of like, what do you think of it? And I was still no, I want the other one. So I was like, I rated like a 3.5. Even though I was like gasping at the view, I was like, no. I want the other one.
Here's the thing. You could change everything on the inside, but you can't change the view and the height.
Right.
So I think that the view and the height is the most important thing. Even if it's like the other one, I would rather a great view and a great height and shitty interior than completely renovated but with no view and no height, because I could change the interior, and maybe I don't want to spend the money right away, but over time, like even in my own apartment, when I bought it, I had to put like 60 grand into it just to make it livable. I mean, my apartment was brown and red. I mean, 1992 called, they want their fucking tile back. I mean, there's mold in my bathroom. It was unlivable.
No.
And so I made it livable, but even now, like, okay, now I'm doing my bedroom. I'm going to paint the bedroom, and I'm going to, and I'm taking it like one little spot on the time. The next thing is, like, by the end of the year, I'm going to renovate my kitchen. But, like, you could take things, when it's your own.
Right, you have your time.
Little by little. But that view. I saw your picture on social with you on the balcony.
That view is like, everything. Flexing. And when I got to see it at night for the first time, I was like, okay,
so
yes.
Yeah, so now you're a homeowner, and what's great is that you have a fixed price. Your rent is not going to go up. The only thing that could, change is your association.
Yeah.
Which it happens, but your association's in good shape, so it should stay. And I would suggest, and I told you this before, like, get the people that work there on lock. Get the front desk girl down, know the lady in the office, because they're the ones that run that building. And the lady in the package, have you seen the package section of your building yet?
Yeah.
Okay,
no, I've been already working the building, flashing my smile.
Yeah,
Good
you got to
morning,
work
how
it,
are you?
Little cafecitos, because it's a big building. And I'm sure there's a lot of residents that don't even say hello to them.
Yeah.
So if you just are kind and nice, then you're going to get that place on lock, and it's going to make living there easier. Like my front desk ladies, man, I got them. I'll tell you a story. The lady at my front desk, I'm not going to say her name, but when she first started, she was mean. She did not have a personality of someone who was at the front desk. But, it's hard to find good people. It's hard to, so she was mean and like, I'm like, oh, we got a live one here. This woman, so I did one thing. I learned her name. And every time I saw her, now the elevator is at the back of the lobby and the front desk is at the front of the lobby. So when the elevator's open, I could just slip out to the right, like unassuming, and go out on the side door, right? But every time, like, sin pena, hey, so-and-so, hey, hi, good morning, and don't you know
that makes their day.
Yeah, and people like to hear their name.
Yeah.
So I learned that lady's name. I say hello to her to this day, I say hello. Well, I say hello to everyone at the front desk because they run shit, Like, they get all the packages. Everybody that comes to see me goes through them. I mean, they run things. So, yeah, now I have that lady, like, in the palm of my hand. She's super nice. She loves me. She got into a fight with somebody who was breaking into my car one night.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah, no, there was somebody breaking into my car, and she's like an older lady. She's tough as nails. She goes out to the balcony. She's like, what are you doing? That's JoAnne's car. What are you doing? He goes, I'm a friend of JoAnne. You're not a friend of JoAnne. and he had like my remote because he stole it, like my garage remote.
Yeah.
And she snatched it out of his hand, and she's like, get out of here. The next
She had your
day,
back.
she's like, JoAnne, I have your remote. I'm like, what? She told me what happened, but I'm like, oh my God, this lady is fearless.
Good.
So anyways.
Hey, it's good to have her on your side.
It's good to know, but if I was a dick, she'd be like, oh, look at that guy breaking into JoAnne's car. You know, maybe I should call the police or something. No, she was
Maybe I
out there in
didn't
a
see anything.
second.
Oops.
No. Oh, yeah, no, I don't know. I didn't see nothing. So it's important. Okay, we digress. What else? If you got anything else for us? Any closing thoughts? Anything that you would advise someone that is thinking about buying a place in today's market?
Do it.
Do it.
Jump. Like, go for it. Like I said, like if you keep waiting for like literally anything, it's probably not going to happen, and you're just going to end up wasting a lot more time, a lot more money, and then you're probably going to be pissed in a year or in two and thinking, crap, I should have bought 1 or 2 years ago. Like, it was so much better. Because I feel like housing doesn't go down. That's not
in
the
Miami.
trend. Like,
Not in Miami.
prices are always going to go up. Like, you know, the rates, the whatever the cost.
The rates could go down.
They could go down, yeah.
And then you could
I'm hoping
refinance.
that too. But you're probably gonna end up regretting it. For example, I probably could have bought before the pandemic when you know everything was like whatever it is. Now 3 years later, I'm like, crap. Why didn't I? Oh, because I was waiting for the market to be this and like you know all that stuff. So like, if you find yourself a good team, they'll work with you and they'll make it happen. Like you tell them like this is my situation, this is how much I have, this is what I want, this area, blah blah blah. And if they're actually good and like you know like my team, they'll make it work.
Yeah.
And like the sooner the better. You can't wait around for anything that's out of your control because chances are it's probably going to get worse, and then you'll really like kick yourself in the ass for not doing it sooner.
For
so yeah.
sure.
So like if you want to do it sooner rather than later.
And even if you don't know how to do it or you don't know where to start, I mean, you could start with getting the book, Buying Miami, at least to learn. It's a pretty easy read. Did you find it to be a pretty easy read?
I did.
Yeah.
And then like with the companion podcast too, like if you're not really into reading, like I know some people are, they like the audiobook thing better. Like I listen to it at the gym or if I'm like on a long drive and it's like so easy to digest and you hear from each individual contributor.
Correct.
So like if you don't want to read, I know some people are not really into that. Listen to the podcast and like it's all there.
Yeah, it is. I have it on. I'm gonna come out with the Audible version of the book.
Okay.
So that's come out. I should just go ahead and upload it. I've had it. It's. I don't know why. I have a problem with procrastination. But back to the person who's like on the fence with whether or not they should buy or not, or they're waiting for the market. You know, at the end of the day, just start with being honest with yourself. Because is it that you're really waiting for the market, or is it that you're just scared? And you're scared because you don't know how to do it, and it's a lot of money, and it's a big decision.
Yeah.
Because if you could just say, well, you know what the truth is that I'm scared, then you start with that. You know, you start with at least recognizing within yourself, well, at least you're not fooling yourself anymore because you're not waiting for the fucking market, you know?
Yeah.
You're waiting for, you know, the stars align. You're waiting for that fear to be lifted. And nobody's coming for you.
Happen.
Nobody is coming for you. So you have to be your own savior. And you have to at least start with like, admitting to yourself that, well, the reason why I haven't moved is because I'm scared. Okay, well, then you start with that. Okay, well, why am I scared? I'm scared because I don't know how to do it. Okay, well, how do I educate myself? You know, and then if you're in the South Florida area, you know, reach out to me. Believe me, if people can find me to send me dick pics, I'm sure that you could find me to help you with real estate. Believe me. So I'm pretty easy to find. And I mean, I'll sit down and work with you and talk to you and, you know, start from there. And if I can't help you, I could refer you to someone, even if you're in a different area and you want to just reach out to me and pick my brain, I could refer you to another Compass agent. We have agents all over the world. Well, no, all over the country. Not the world yet. We are becoming international next year, but all over, pretty much in every market, there's a Compass agent. So I can give you a talk and we can discuss it, and then I can connect you with another agent, not exactly like me, but kind of like me, that could help you. No, that can help you in your area. So with that, Javier, thank you so much for being on the show. I've been really excited to have you and so happy for you to make this big move. I mean, this is like a big deal in your life.
Huge. I'm still in shock. I don't actually believe it all the way yet.
You did it. But you know what, Jav, if you could do this, imagine what else you could do.
That's true, yeah.
Like things that you're like, oh, I can't do that. That's not for me. Well, maybe it is. Maybe you just need to kind of unpack your feelings around it.
Like leave your comfort zone.
Leave
in
your
a big
comfort
way. Like
zone.
dare to launch yourself into something that you might not know. Reach out, ask questions, get help, but do it.
Well, yeah, and you know what? You might fail. You might fail, but
learn.
if you fail, then you're going to learn something. So failures are just wisdom.
Yeah.
When you take the emotional sting out of it, when you get out, don't be afraid to fail.
Yeah, and that's your ego that gets hurt most of all. Like you learn, but that's your ego. So you know what? Take the lesson, move on. Do better next time.
But just do it. Just do it. So, all right. Well, I think that's all we have for today. I love you so much, honey. Thank you so much for being on the show. And, that's it. Listen, okay, I have to do the closing. The closing this is Buying Miami, Life, Love, and Real Estate. You can find it on anywhere you look for podcasts. So Spotify and Amazon and pretty much anywhere you look for a podcast. Oh, we're on YouTube. If you want to see what I look like and you haven't seen it yet, you can find me on YouTube. You could stalk me there. And that's it. I'm JoAnne Jones Miami. That's my handle. And thank you guys for listening. See you next time. Bye.